Both of them involve the old aerodrome at Lympne in Kent. I needed to visit the site. Of course, I could have driven, but that wouldn't have been in the spirit of the channel. I'd only got home from New Zealand the night before, but no matter, the next day I headed off. It was time for an adventure. The aeroplane was pretty well laden with extra fuel, tools, tie-downs, covers and a bit of overnight kit, but she got off all right. I headed eastbound across Cornwall. The weather was fantastic, and I took a picture of the old RAF Aerodrome at Harrowbeer as I passed. I followed the Princetown Road across Dartmoor, then passed north of Exeter for my first refueling stop at Watchford Farm. No one was around, so I quickly poured some fuel in, barely on the ground 15 minutes, and then carried on east. I carried on eastbound across Dorset and Wiltshire. Just east of Shaftesbury, I passed over Jack Parham's old home, Norrington Manor, and on to Popham for another fuel stop, a cup of tea and a catch-up with a couple of old friends. I had to wait for a C-42 to land. Well, at least the chap flying it demonstrated that it must have very strong undercarriage. You might be wondering why we've seen 3 takeoffs and no landings. I apologise for that. I kept forgetting to turn the camera on. I'll try and do better next time. I was now crossing territory that was very familiar from my childhood. That's the old Whitley AA landing ground, which will be covered in a future episode. This is Ridinghurst Farm. I flew from there a few times in the 1980s in an Aeronca sedan. Sadly, the strip's now closed. I spotted my brother. He was ploughing near Farley Green. We had been discussing it by phone earlier, and I gave him a quick buzz. Carried on eastbound towards Rochester. Rochester was to be our base for the next couple of nights. It's a fine airfield. Rochester town, of course, is the home of Short brothers who built these C-class flying boats and all manner of other machines. It probably looks like it's been raining, but it hasn't been. That is oil on the windscreen. The airplane used very little oil. In fact, in the whole 12 hours it used barely a pint. But what it did use was liberally smothered all over the windscreen every time. The undershoot for runway 02 comprised of a deep valley with a motorway and a railway line running along it. There's nowhere to go if you mess it up, so I stayed high and glided in, side slipped the excess off.